Okay, Tahir, I guess it goes without saying that this is an episode that's not for everybody, but during the course of today's conversation, you might even persuade people listening otherwise. Today's episode, we are talking about buying land in Dubai and building your own property on it. So, first and foremost, is it possible to buy land in Dubai and build your own property on it?
Yes, Raj, it is very much possible. You can buy a freehold land and build your own property on it.
Okay, so where did the misconception that still lives in the market come about you can't buy property in Dubai, you can't own property, you can't own land? Like, take us back 20 years and tell us, was that ever real and where are we today?
Look, yes, prior to 2002,
Yeah.
the land was not freehold. But post 2002, a lot of new developments which has happened, especially most of it, you can say, are all freehold developments. Most of the developments have clusters where they're selling individual land where you can build your own house, you want to build a building or a hotel, whatever it is, you can buy land, absolute freehold land, which is yours for life, and build on your own as per your own specifications.
Okay, so that leads us on to our next point, which is what kinds of property can you build on it? If I've got my own specification, are there certain properties that are out of bounds when it comes to commercial or certain types of residential? What kind of properties can I build on a piece of land that I own in Dubai?
Look, it all depends on the land classification. So if you're buying a plot which is classified for a villa, you build a residential villa on it. You buy a building plot, whether it's a commercial building or a residential building, you can buy a plot for a hotel apartment, even warehouses and industrial land as well. So to answer that, there's a wide range of land options available, but the most popular ones are the residential plots for villas and buildings.
Okay, clearly you're not going to be able to get a classification for a warehouse and a villa, but are there multiple classifications that can exist on the same piece of land?
Sometimes yes, but when you say multiple classifications, it's like, you usually call it a mixed use development, which could be like, retail on the ground floor and residential on the higher floors. Or it could also be a mix of retail, commercial, offices and land. So there are possibilities like that as well.
So now that we've established that you can buy a piece of land in Dubai and build property on it, subject to the classification that land comes with, what is the case? Why should you buy land and build your own property on it, as opposed to just going to a developer who's already built a property on that land for you and buying a property from them?
Look, Raj, to answer this question, first and foremost, when you talk about buying land and building on it, obviously it doesn't apply to someone wanting to buy a single apartment. For an apartment, you're not going to build a whole building. But it applies to people who are buying, large family homes, villas, or even investors who are, procuring assets in form of entire buildings. Now, when you go to a developer and you're buying a villa, say for example, just talking make it simple for you, you're going to a developer buying a villa worth 10 million dirhams. When you go and buy, you are given a choice of 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom. Mm-hmm. One is priced at say 9 million, 10 million, 11 million, right? Depending on the number of bedrooms. You select within, which unit number, and you buy that. For the same amount of money, if you go and buy a land and build your own, the first and the most important part is that you would be getting a house which is totally customized. It's absolutely as per your needs. You can design it the way you like it, have the number of bedrooms the way you need it. Probably you need more number of bedrooms. You need a study room. You need a home office. You need a place, a party area. You want to design it as per Vastu or Feng Shui, or you want to have, whatever you want to put in a private pool. The options are endless. It's like customization. When you go to a shop and you buy a ready suit, or you go to a tailor and you decide everything right from the fabric to the color, the fit, the style, the buttons, everything. So similarly, when you buy a ready villa from a developer, they're going to hand over as per their specs. They're not going to be doing any changes to it as per your requirement. But when you buy land and you build your own, you have all the freedom of designing it to the way you require it for your own living. So this is the first and the biggest advantage.
So let's say then you've got all this additional control, and certainly properties that are on the market today may have not factored in needing, an office or 2 offices. Like post-pandemic, what people need from their home has fundamentally changed. So you've got some additional control, but are there any additional controls in terms of the building process, in terms of the people that you work with, whether it be a development consultant like yourself or a project manager? Is there an opportunity for more transparency, or is it wait till we hand the keys over like it is with a developer?
Look, Raj, you are in 100% control of what goes into developing or building your own home. Unlike when you buy from a master developer or any developer, you are going to get a specification sheet and you're just going to be handed over that. Now, what goes inside, you don't know, right? From outside, everything can look good, but what's gone inside, you don't really know. When you're building your own home, right from a nail to the marble to the doors, whatever goes in as per your choice. It is as per your specification, and you are in complete control. Look, when you buy from a developer, what happens? A developer gives you a payment plan that these are the milestones where you need to pay. They send you an email, they send you a notice that this milestone you achieve, please pay, right? And before, even when you're buying something, say off-plan, you're paying 10, 20, 30% deposit. Whereas when you're buying a land and developing, the control is completely yours. If you're paying to the contractor, you're paying to the contractor when he's doing the work on site, right? When he bills you, once he's done some work, you see the milestone, you pay the person. So you're in complete control of the entire process.
Okay, so I'm going to be a cynic for a second here. If a developer is building 300 or 200 of the same property, they're going to be getting the marbles and the materials. They're going to be bulk buying across hundreds of different properties. So you're telling me that if I have control, that's great. But my question to you then is, what's that control going to cost me? If I'm going to be paying for marble and this wood and everything that I want, surely I'm going to be spending more out of my own pocket to end up with a property that a developer could give me for cheaper. Or is it the other way around? I could end up spending less on the equivalent property that a developer would put together.
Look, Raj, there can be 2-3 scenarios. One scenario is if you build to a spec which is very similar to what a developer makes, you are definitely going to be spending less.
Okay, so if a developer has let's just go with 10 million dirhams. If a developer has a 10 million dirham property, and I know you can't commit, and this is by no means, as we mentioned in all podcasts, this is not actual financial investment advice that you should be acting on. Always seek professional help before you make any decisions. But a 10 million property from a developer, how much would that cost me out of pocket? Typically, like back of handkerchief numbers.
You would be not spending anything more than 7 or 8 million for a similar house in a similar community.
Okay, so 20% net saving.
Yes.
Okay.
And let me just stop you there.
Okay.
And that also, you would get something definitely better spec than what the developer is handling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Does that mean, therefore, that if I do spend the full 10 million that a developer would have asked me for, that I'll actually end up with something that's got a equivalent market value of 12 million?
More than that, maybe.
Right.
If not less.
So in which case, there's an opportunity to even make short-term capital as well.
Look,
by selling it immediately.
Yes, there are. I mean, a lot of people today are doing this as a business as well. And some seasoned investors who know the benefit of, developing, they are doing that, buying plot, making a nice custom house on it and putting it in the market. Because Raj, one thing you need to understand, when you put in a custom built villa or a house in the market, unlike when you enter a community which has, say, 100 units of the same type, a person negotiating on your particular house could be saying that, 3 rows down the line, I'm getting the same house for $500,000 cheaper. Why are you asking me for more money? It's the same plot size, same thing. Everything is the same. But when you have something which is custom built, it's piece unique. It's like one of one, like a limited edition thing, And today, especially, people are really valuing such, houses because there are hardly any, good houses on the market like these. You could go into a community which has similar types of houses. There are many, but unique, custom built homes, there are very few.
Okay, so it's I guess the term that's going crazy on the internet at the moment is it's non-fungible. It's one of one.
Yeah, it's one of one. And it is because, you've made it as per your design. It's not something which you've, the house on the left and the right would be different. So it's your house, which is unique. So when you put it in the market, if someone likes it, they're not going to find the same house somewhere else.
Okay, so if I can have a property which I've built myself and it's unique, it's one of one, and as such, it's able to maintain its long term value because in the future, nobody can compare it to another property when negotiating with me if I choose to sell it. Is there anything about today's climate, market climate, that suggests that you should or should not be investing in land to build your own property on top?
Look, first and foremost, Raj, with the whole pandemic going on, people have realized the benefits of having a larger home. People want larger spaces. People want home offices. Not just home offices. I've seen families where they have 3, 4 kids, and they're doing their schooling from home. Now, even when they're doing schooling from home, it's virtual, online, and I've seen some families make 2, 3 different small study rooms in their houses. Why? So that the kids can have their own space while even doing online school. Some people are working from home, they want a home office. A lot of people, some people want a separate prayer room. A lot of different things are happening, because of which people have realized developing your own home, because when you go to a developer, you can't ask them to do all these things. Okay, so the only option is you buy a land, design it the way you like it with your needs, and make it as per your choice.
But what about, okay, so that's one aspect of it, I guess. In terms of current market conditions, clearly every market in the world has been affected by COVID.
Yes.
And so one of the market conditions is what we need from a home has somewhat changed or been redefined. Is there anything else in terms of, from a straight investor's point of view? I know that at the moment, worldwide interest rates are low. ROI isn't particularly good on any traditional investment opportunities.
Yeah.
Does that mean that now's a really good time to invest in property, because even in the short term you could sell it at a profit?
Yeah, look, developing and development, I've always believed is, it's like, a process of manufacturing. You buy the raw material, which is the land, you build on it, you add value, and you create a final product. So, there is no doubt in it that when it's like, buying cloth and turning it into a suit, obviously the suit sells for much higher price than what the cost of the cloth is. Same way with development. If you buy a plot of land, you build a house on it or a building, whatever, and you sell it, the value is much higher. The value is much, much higher. And not only that, you are in complete control of it, Raj. You want to spend, 2 years to build it. You want to spend, you want to do a very high-end luxury thing. You want to do something which is really funky, really cool, something different. It's entirely up to you.
Okay, so in return for all of the control I get when it comes to building my own property, and you talked about the fact that you can build an equivalent property that's in the market. If you make it yourself, you can spend less on it. And if you spend the same amount of the same amount of money you'd spend on a property in the market, let's say for 10 million, you'd end up with, if you build it yourself, you'd end up with a property that's got equivalent value of about 12 million. That's all well and good. But looking at the news today, Q2, Q3, and maybe the rest of 2021, it seems like there's been a big spike in the price of raw materials. There was an assumption when COVID happened that all construction would be shut down, whether it be residential, commercial, or otherwise. A lot of wood was not processed and harvested, and the whole supply chain was slowed down. In reality, what happened is that people realized that they had a lot more time, a lot more money, the needs of their homes had changed, and they started going to the stores and buying wood and making changes and doing renovations or building bigger properties. Is there a case right now that wood and raw material prices make building your own property unfeasible? What is the impact of the cost of raw materials in 2021 when it comes to deciding if you should build your own property?
Look, Raj, the cost of raw material, when we talk about a property like this, 10 million dirham property or even more, the cost of the raw material is not a very big cost. Okay, even if the cost of the raw material goes up by say 10% or 15%, on your total cost, it won't even affect by even probably 5%. Okay. Because you need to understand, it's not just one material, but there are different materials going into building a house. So yes, okay, if one material has gone up, it would, affect the cost slightly, because compared to that, there could be some other materials where the costs have gone down, and stuff like that. Also, it also depends on where you're sourcing the material from and a lot of other factors. So there are a lot of ways where you can do a lot of value engineering onto that to keep your costs under control.
Okay, so I've got all my materials in place to build my own property on land that I've bought in Dubai. I understand that I can get a really good deal. I can build something cheaper than a developer would sell it to me, or I can spend the same amount that a developer is asking me for, but get a much better equivalent property. That's the financial side covered.
Right.
As an investor, and in terms of my time, how much time do I need to physically be in the country, in Dubai, in the UAE, if I'm an overseas investor? And what are those milestones that I need to be here? Who am I talking to? How much time is it costing me?
Look, if you are doing this as an investor to build a home and then sell it off, put in the market and make a profit, the time you need to put in physically being in the country is not too much, because nowadays, most of the things as it is going, with being on Zoom and virtual and being, everything over a Zoom call or a video call, you don't really need to be there physically. Once you've appointed the right consultants, the right people, then you really don't need to spend much time. But yes, it's always, advisable for a person to come and have a look when it's being built, just so, they know what's going on. But then again, today with technology, there are ways where, I have some clients who monitor the progress every day on site because they have live cameras put up on site. So, now a lot of things is possible due to technology. So physically, it's not necessary for you to be over here.
So I mean, we always do this on all the podcasts. Let's just try and fill some of those things up with numbers. So a 4-bedroom apartment, a 4-bedroom villa in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
I've got the materials, I've got the resources, I've got the contractor. Start to end, how many months am I looking at?
Look,
from deciding I want to do it to getting the keys in my hand.
Look, a start to end process could be anywhere between a year and a half to 2 years. When I say start to end, means starting from, identifying the land, buying the land, and then moving into it, physically, or or making it in a livable condition. You're taking anywhere about 18 to 24 months. It also depends on how quick you decide, because decisions in terms of design and the look and feel and deciding on the consultant's materials, that's something which is in your control, the person who's doing it. So that's something. But yes, 18 to 24 months, easily you could finish it.
Okay, so let's say 18 months.
Yeah.
In that 18 months, let's say I live in Mumbai, Delhi, London, wherever, Qatar, Saudi. How many times do I need to physically come to Dubai to interact with either the property or stakeholders, project managers, development consultants like yourself who can handle the whole process for me? How many times do I need to come to Dubai?
Look, Raj, there's no specific number of times I can say. Sometimes it could be also possible that you come just twice or thrice. There are some projects where I am consulting on as a consultant, where the people are currently they're not able to travel because of the whole flight restrictions, but the work is still going on site. There's still everything happening. It's all about how well you coordinate. If you have the funds available in the country and you have all the processes set properly, you don't need to be really physically over here. And that's what I do for a lot of my clients, where I've taken up all the headache for them, right from designing up to putting in the contractor in place, putting in the consultant in place, getting everything done as per their needs. So to answer that, not too many times they need to be over here.
But maybe definitely when you sign the land.
Yes, definitely when they acquire the land, to take the land, to transfer, and also they need to be here to appoint the consultants, give certain power of attorneys for them to act on their behalf in the Dubai Municipality and the other government authorities.
Okay, so if we're talking about a very high level, if it's 2 to 3 times, you're here in month, 0 to 1 when you're doing all the paperwork, acquiring the land. You maybe show up once, sometime between month 6 and 9. And then maybe once towards the end as well. So it could be as little as 2 or 3.
Yes.
Evenly split. So now that we've established that a typical 4 to 5 bedroom villa will take 18 to 24 months to build from scratch here in Dubai, that as an overseas investor, you've got the opportunity to buy the land, and whatever money you spend on it, you'll probably spend less than a developer would sell you the equivalent. Or if you pay what a developer's asking for, you'll end up with even more value for money if you build it yourself. Let's zoom right in now. What are the milestones from a kind of project management point of view, or from your perspective as a development consultant that does these projects for clients? What are the different milestones that we'll be hitting? What's the exact process that a investor has to go through from deciding to build their own property in Dubai to being given the keys?
So look, I'll explain you the key milestones here. The first and foremost, you need to decide where you want to buy the land and where you want to develop. Once you've decided the land, the first step is obviously procuring the land. Once you procure the land, the second step is the process of getting the design finalized. Once you've got the design finalized, then the next step is the approvals. The stage 3 is approvals. Within the approvals, there are a lot of multiple steps, but that a professional consultant takes care of, who will represent you in the government departments and get all the approvals. Once you have the approvals in place, then the step number 4 is appointing a contractor. You appoint a main contractor and the contractor starts work. Then obviously there are a lot of steps while it's being built, but that's again handled by the consultant and the contractors. And then the final stage is once the development is complete, the villa or building, whatever. Once it's complete, then again the consultant approaches the Dubai Municipality or the government authorities for the final BCC, which is a building completion certificate. Once that is achieved, then you can actually move into the place.
Okay, and I know you've already said that there's a specialist consultant that would sit in your team that would handle all that.
Yeah.
And I know that you're not that person, but can you just color that in a little bit more for us in terms of how is this process regulated? Who are the different government bodies that are involved? And how does compliance work in terms of, are there single sign-offs in some cases, multiple sign-offs? Are there payments that need to be made to authorities at different stages?
There are multiple authorities involved. When you say multiple authorities, there is first is the Dubai Municipality, there is the DEWA, which is the Electricity and Water Authority. In some cases it could also be the Road Transport Authority. But these all things are coordinated by the consultant. So they go to all the other different government authorities as and when required. Take all the permissions. You get something called as a building permit. Once you get a building permit, it's a permission from the government that you can build on it as per the specified drawings what you have prepared and proposed. Once you get that, you start developing. At every stage, there are certain checks from the Dubai Municipality to make sure it's being developed as per the proposed drawings. That again, is a routine, checks and site visits which happen. And once that is complete, then you go in for a proper building completion certificate where, the civil defense authorities and the other authorities come and check that it's built to a specific standard, which the Dubai government specifies. And and then you get the building completion certificate, which actually allows you to then go in and move into the actual villa or building.
So I'm an overseas investor. I've decided to come to Dubai, buy a plot of land, and I'd like to build a property on it. Who do I need on my team? Because obviously, not living in Dubai and not being a property developer, I don't know what the different stages are. So you are a development consultant. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what that is and what the function of that is and what you do, and who else is on your team that gets us from me choosing the plot of land to me moving in.
So look, Raj, as a development consultant, I offer my clients a complete, package. When I say a complete package, that what I have a team of consultants, architects, designers, contractors, all who are, trusted people who I've worked with before. We offer a solution to the client where the client decides the land or the client already has a land and wants to build on it. We do both? Once the client has specified or shortlisted a land or already has a land, we go into the design process first where we decide what we want to build on it. Once the client gives us a brief, we design, then show the designs to the client, not one, but few options for a client to choose from. And all these options are designed as per the brief given by the client, So the client, we sit down with the client, understand the requirements. If it's a family home, understand the requirement of the family, that what, each family member is looking at in the house. And once we have that, we give them options. The client chooses a design process, a design first. Once they choose the design, we go into the interior part of it and start going ahead for approvals. And then, we appoint a proper consultant who is the consultant with the authorities to go and take all the approvals. And then we go on to the process of appointing a contractor and doing the complete bit. So we offer a complete package where a client can, outsource everything, and just sitting and having one point of contact, which is me, can design, build his entire home or a building, whatever he's wanting to build.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Tahir, just focusing just on the money, we've spoken about building a villa and the amount of time that's needed for that. Can you take us from a townhouse villa right the way through to owning a residential building?
Yes.
What are the minimum investment categories that if you want to buy land in Dubai and build on it, that you would need to have essentially a capex? How much money would you need to put aside as investment to have a property like that, to own a property like that? So let's start with townhouses, go through to villas, go through to residential buildings, and anything else you can think of in between that your investment clients are thinking about.
So look, Raj, when you talk about townhouses, what happens is townhouses is, like a cluster.
Mm-hmm.
So there are very few choices where you can get plots for building townhouses, where you could build a cluster of 4 townhouses or 6 townhouses. These would start anywhere from a price range of 2.5 million per townhouse, right? But in this, you need to understand that these would be a cluster of 4 or 6. So until and unless a person wants like 4 different townhouses, sometimes could be a big family, want 4 houses together or something like that, it's for them. When you talk about individual villas, we're looking at a price of minimum at least 4 to 5 million dirhams as a total budget, which includes land and construction. This is where it would start from. Of course, going up, you could spend on, upwards of 50, 60, 70 million, depends on how big a villa you want to make, how crazy you want to go on that. So that's with a family house. So starting anywhere from 5 million dirhams approximately, you could go up. Talking about individual buildings, this is where a lot of investors don't look at, and this is where, there's real value in the market currently is if they take, there are a lot of options in the market today where you can buy small plots to build your own building. When you talk about a building, usually people think that, a building will cost too much, but you could own an entire building in some good locations in Dubai, starting from anywhere around 20 to 25 million onwards dirhams. So if you put it, it's 20, 25 million dirhams is not like a very, very big investment for owning a complete asset. Also, one very, very important thing which investors miss out on is that when you talk about a building which is costing you 25 million dirhams, if you were to value it once it's ready, it would be, just as a thumb rule valuation, it would be valued at somewhere around at least 34, 35 million dirhams. Not only that, when you calculate the return on investment on these kind of buildings, the return on investment is very high in this case because you're not buying from a developer. So you're not paying the profit to the developer. Your cost on these buildings, say for example, if it's 25 million, and when you rent it, you are renting it at market value, at the market rental rates.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you were to buy from a developer and achieve, say, 7% in return on investment, vis-a-vis making your own building, which costed you 25 million dirhams or 26 million, whatever, you would be expecting to get at least 9 to 10% return on that same investment.
Right.
And plus, don't forget, the asset which you hold is already of a value which is much higher than what you've invested in.
Right. So it could be as little as a 10 to 12 year play before you made all your money back.
Exactly.
And you sat on a serious cash generating asset.
Yes.
Which you could, we're getting technical now, but maybe you could sell that for a multiple of revenue.
Yeah, you could sell that for revenue. Once it's ready, if you feel you want to sell, say if it's a small building, 4 floors, 6 floors, whatever, you want to sell 1 or 2 floors to generate some cash out of it.
Yes.
Not only that, there's also something which a lot of investors do is once they build an asset, they could go to any bank and raise funds against that asset. Especially if it's rented, there's something called as lease rental discounting. So it's basically you've rented the entire building, you have an income, the bank would pay you an X amount of years income upfront. Mm-hmm. So in some cases, I've seen investors cashing out the entire investment, the rent's paying off the bank for a few years, And after a few years, they've already taken the money out. They still own the asset, which is paying for itself. And after a few years, again they have cash flow from it. So this is something a lot of investors miss out on. They come, they feel, okay, we'll buy a full floor from a developer or 2 floors from a developer, spend 20, 30 million. But if they go this route, they are definitely going to get much more value and are going to be remaining in complete control of the investment.
Okay, well, Tahir, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is not for everybody, but there's certainly a lot of advantages that would be appealing to a lot of people when it comes to coming to Dubai, buying land here and building a property on it. Which leads me to the final question today, which is, if it's such a good idea, why aren't more people doing it?
Look, Raj, 2 things. First, a lot of consultants, real estate consultants, don't know about it, how to go about it. Okay, they are here just to sell. They're not here to consult on the entire process. A lot of people I know, they would just be interested in either selling the land or the ready building or an apartment or a villa from a developer, because that's a much easier process. Now, consultancy in development, one is needs experience, okay, the know-how and the knowledge of how to execute the project. That's something really important, and that's where I usually, my clients, use my services, because that's where I add value, give them a complete package, take off all the headache, hassles from the head, and when they finish the project, they realize the value they've got in building that asset is much, much higher than what they would have just gone and bought off from a developer. Because look, anything when you are buying off a developer, no matter which developer it is, you're paying a profit to the developer, right? When you're doing an investment which is of a sizable amount, okay, you can save a lot of money. Okay, yes, obviously when you're buying just an apartment, you don't have an option, okay, or a small townhouse, you don't have an option. But if you're buying something which is, upwards of 5-10 million dirhams, definitely this is an option you should look at.
Well, that's a great place to end. That conversation went by really quickly. We've covered a lot. Incredible. As I mentioned, this particular investment opportunity isn't for everybody, but there's certainly a lot of reasons to get involved. I'm sure that before any investor makes a move on this, they're going to need some very specific details and advice. And so where would be the best place for anybody listening or watching right now to contact you?
They could reach out to me on any of my social media handles, be it on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, at Tahir Majithia. Email me on tahir@trustedhomesdubai.com, and I'll be happy to assist them.
Amazing to hear. Thank you so much. One of the best episodes we've done so far. Go ahead and read us out.
Thanks for checking out the Dubai Real Estate Podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do subscribe to my channel, leave your comments, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. That will be really awesome. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcast, please do give us a 5-star rating and a review. This really helps us getting discovered. Android listeners, if you're listening on Spotify, please do follow us there or any other platform you're listening on. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in Dubai very soon. Yes, you can buy land. There are a lot of freehold land options in Dubai which are available, which you can buy and build your own home or a building, a hotel, what you want to build. So to answer that first question, yes, you can very much buy land. They are freehold lands. You own it for life. You pass it on to your next generation. You're free to sell, do whatever you want to do on the land as far as it's built as per the classification of the land.
Okay, before we get into the classification of the land, let's just go back maybe a decade or two. Is there still a misconception alive then in the market with overseas investors that quote unquote foreigners cannot buy property in Dubai?
Look, there's a lot of misconception, whether be it land or apartments or anything. I still get a lot of people asking me that are these properties or lands freehold? Is it 99-year-old? So there is a lot of options in the freehold property. Yes, 10, 15 years back, 20 years back, these options were not there. But today we have a lot of freehold options. Most of the development you see in Dubai, which is happening and which is being advertised to sell or rent, majority of them are freehold properties, be it downtown, Business Bay, Dubai Marina, JBR, and the list is pretty long.
Okay, so back to your original point. You said that you can buy land and it's subject to Well, I'm not thinking from a QL's point of view here. I'm fucking this up. I want to go from the top. Let's go from the top. Because there's certain points in the edit where I have to pause and say something to make the question level start again.
Best